joining us for today's edition of Point Blank is the Member of Parliament and re-elected Member of Parliament for the people of North Tongu in the Volta region, a household name. Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa is my guest tonight on Eyewitness News. Good evening to you, Honorable. Thank you for joining us on Point Blank on Eyewitness News.
Good evening, me. Thank you for having me. How are you doing?
I'm well, and big congratulations to you for winning your seat again.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
The people of North Tongu have renewed their mandate. How did you pull it out? Over 90% in terms of the votes. How did you do it?
Well, first of all, let me say a good evening to the listeners of Citi FM. And I'd like to use this opportunity to convey my deepest gratitude to the chiefs and people of North Tongu, my beloved constituency, as I always refer to North Tongu. Yes, 93.12%. It's confirmed that is the widest victory margin in this year's election, and is the second election on the trot that we have achieved this. In 2020 we had 89.7%, which was the widest margin, and we're determined to increase that margin and maintain the tradition. So we set out to achieve Operation 94%, which President Mahama was gracious enough to launch in Juapong in August. And we are really grateful to the Almighty and to my beloved constituents that we have virtually achieved that target with the declaration that the Electoral Commission has done. I will say we achieved this due to hard work, loyalty. I have remained loyal to the people. I have never deserted them. I've never abandoned them. I listen to their concerns, what matters to them, and that is what I respond to. I continue to serve them diligently, with integrity, with vision, with creativity, and I always say that it is absolutely crucial that you never take people who elect you, who are really your employers, for granted. You should never take them for granted. You should be there for them. You should at all times, particularly when they need you most. And you saw what happened with the disaster, the spillage from the Akosombo Pond dams by the VRA. For 4 months, I didn't leave the constituency. I didn't go anywhere. I was there with them, struggling with them, rescuing them, trying to revive them, organizing relief items for them, building resettlement homes for them, and making sure that I advocated for them. I brought national attention in Parliament, in the chamber. I compelled the government to respond and to change course. They were not being responsive. They didn't attach any agency, any importance to the disaster, and at times it even got me into some trouble, but I remained resolute because the people have made you their chief advocate. You are their representative, and in their time of distress, in their time of anguish, of pain, of destitution, you cannot neglect them. And so I think that all of that, that's why when you come back home in North Tongu, they call me Togbe Wagbeji. And what that means is that I am the chief who keeps his word. I fulfill my promises. And my secret really is to always under promise and over deliver.
Wow.
You know, so I would say that this is what has worked, and will continue to serve the people of North Tongu. I must admit that the margin imposes enormous pressure on me. To whom much is given, much is expected. So the more the support, the more the delivery, the more the performance. I have no choice. I have to make sure that I up the ante, and I deliver for this fourth term way beyond what I have ever delivered. And I've made that pledge to them that I would, if You give me 93.12%. I must also make sure that I give you 100% performance.
And I like how
that's
you
what I'm going
describe
to do.
your victory. You under promise, over deliver, and also this is the widest, margin when it comes to your victory. And this particular wide margin you talk about, away from your constituency, translated into the national picture, the NDC decisively, overwhelmingly securing a massive victory in this particular election, more than 1.5 million votes as compared to that of the governing soon-to-be opposition NPP. How did the NDC do this time around?
To be very, very honest with you, even though our internal polls told us that we were winning, you have heard the President-elect, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, say that this can only be the doing of God. Our internal polls confirmed our lead, that we were on an unassailable trajectory, and that we were going to emerge victorious. However, the outcome of this election, what has emerged is a total decimation, a tsunami, a massacre of the NPP. This will go down in history as the greatest political comeback by any politician, and all credit must go to the Ghanaian people. Going into this election, a slogan emerged that is Ghana versus the NPP, because we have an Akufo-Addo Bawumia presidency which refused to listen. They were very arrogant, they were very intransigent, they destroyed so many livelihoods, so many lives, destroyed our environment, destroyed our water bodies. It was always about political convenience. It was always about their self-interest, insatiable greed. You followed all the exposés that I put out, scandals upon scandals, and they just could not be bothered. I mean, for the first time in our history, Ghanaians, including senior citizens, were compelled to take a financial haircut because they mismanaged the economy. For the first time in our history, we were shut out of the international financial market. For the first time in the history of this country, all our river bodies except River Volta damaged because they say party hiasika. For the first time in our history, you have a president who attempts to deceive God, deceives the clergy, deceives the people in a so-called National Cathedral project. It has emerged now that he was really never determined to build a cathedral. We have sunk $58 million in the world's most expensive pit, and you have followed a series of exposés I have done on that. How on earth do you tell the Ghanaian people and the clergy that you are going to do a personal pledge, you won't use public funds? You told the Almighty that if you help me win an election, I'll build a cathedral in your honor. How do you then turn around without parliamentary approval, in flagrant violation of the 1992 Constitution? If I had not intercepted those documents, which reveals that on the blind side of all of us of Parliament, copious amounts, now we know $58 million had been withdrawn without parliamentary approval. And the Constitution is very clear. Nobody has the right to take public funds without parliamentary approval. And what did they do with the funds? They just diverted it. Carrie Summers is keeping $6 million. Others were engaged in inflationary pricing. David Ajayi and co. And the mindless recklessness associated with this project. You see how they destroyed so many iconic buildings because President Akufo-Addo says that in his interaction with God, God gave him the specific location in Accra where this cathedral should be put up. So he demolished the iconic Judicial Training Institute, demolished the Passport Head Office, demolished the scholarship secretariat, demolish the Mali ambassador's residence, demolish bungalows belonging to Shraj, demolish bungalows belonging to judges, about 14 senior judges, demolish the Waterstone Realty apartment complex, demolish the Comsys IT firm. Some of these companies are in court demanding judgment there. So to think that a president who told us that he was coming to protect the public purse will engage in such reckless dissipation, diversion, blatant corruption, a real heist, it's unimaginable. And that was not all. You recall the running battles I had with President Akufo-Addo about abandoning the presidential jet and chartering 20,000 euros an hour jets with impunity. He wouldn't listen. And I couldn't believe that a president who says that he's coming to protect the public purse, you have a presidential jet ordered by President Akufo from your own political tradition. President Mills used it without complaining. President Mahama used it without complaining. Suddenly, this president comes in, the one who made a lot of song and dance about protecting the public purse, says that it's not luxurious enough, and we spend hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis until he had to stop. Remember the initial attempts to even outwit me, where he did a meet me there, pretended he was traveling commercial, only to get the charter jet to meet him in transit, playing games with taxpayer resources. So I submit today that this result, which is the biggest defeat of any political party in this Fourth Republic, is a referendum on the Akufo-Addo Bawumia presidency. It shows that they are the worst government in history, and they deserve this result. And that is why we are talking about 1.6 million gap. We are talking about 13 out of 16 regions won by the NDC, by John Dramani Mahama, and as for parliament, they've become a micro minority.
We're getting into the parliament conversation
over two-thirds.
But quickly, the picture you paint is that Ghanaians were tired of what you may describe as a messy economy, reckless spending, and a number of scandals, for which reason they have voted the NPP out. But here's another leg to the conversation. Last election, 6.2 NDC, this time around 6.3 million, the difference some 100,000. For the NPP, their votes have actually gone down in terms of the numbers. So people say that, well, it is just the disgruntled NPP members who did not vote in this country, and not because a lot more people changed their minds to vote for the NDC, because the figures, the difference as compared to the last election was just about 100,000. What do you say to such arguments?
My response to that argument is that it's rather simplistic and not well informed, because when you look at the turnout, it is not a matter that you can say that it's only in MPP strongholds that turnout was low. If you analyze the results from all the regions, you notice that even in NDC strongholds, turnout was lower than the last election. Take the Volta region, for example. You're talking about an average turnout of about probably 65%, far lower than the average of about 77, 78% of 2020. So it is not just a matter of MPP voters not showing up, even though that itself, it's bad enough. That your performance is so abysmal that even your own supporters did not feel motivated to come and vote for you. And I don't know why anybody would think that that should give anybody succor or give them some refuge, But when you look at the whole election, you should acknowledge that turnout was low across board, including NDC strongholds. And I think that instead of being simplistic, we should drill further. We need further research. Is it the case that probably Ghanaians are increasingly getting fatigued and disappointed in the political class, and so don't want to be turning up in elections. We need to research into that. Is it that the harm caused, by the Akufo-Addo presidents was so painful that people just became so disenchanted about politics? Because remember, President Akufo-Addo came into power with a lot of goodwill. Many people had high hopes, high expectations, which he has dashed. So did that play a role? We need further research into that. Then we also must ask ourselves, are we sure that the NPP votes in 2020, in 2016, are the real votes? Because everybody has commended the NDC's vigilance this time. Remember that there has been some concern, sometimes legitimate, about our party's election directorate and how we have not been able to, get our results in good time, put together all our pink sheets, make sure that there's, extra
but this
vigilance.
Time around, the vigilance was clear.
This time, yes, and you can see that all the moves by the NPP, the EC, and their collaborators, where serial numbers change, where ballot papers disappear, we were ahead of them. We were able to detect all of them. We exposed them. So is it also the case that what they used to do in the past, where they were stuffing ballot boxes, where there are all kinds of, dubious things going on, is it a case that because of the heightened vigilance, they could not do that? So I am saying that let's not be simplistic. Let us, do further research, drill down into the numbers, and then we can have a more informed. But just to say that our members didn't show up,
I get your point now.
I really disagree.
Some two quick things before we wrap up. There are some seats you've never won before, as far as the 1992 election throughout to this year's election is concerned. We can talk about places like Sekondi. Of course, in Sekondi, 1992 you won because the NPP boycotted the election. But we can talk of places like Sunyan, Domhwabinya, and one of the casualties actually where KT Hammond is coming from, Adanse Asukwa. You've never won it before, but this time around you've won it. Ikuapem South, for example. And so one will say that there is a lot of expectation as far as this particular election is concerned. So we know President John Dramani Mahama come 7th January 2025 will be sworn in as president. What should we expect? I'm asking this question because, well, we know that just as the NPP government, you've alluded to some scandals, same was recorded during the previous John Dramani Mahama. People say we've seen him before. He's also said that these are some of the things he's come to do in the first 120 days, most especially in terms of the scandals in this NPP government. One, how do you ensure that the hopes and aspirations of Ghanaians are met? And also, these probes that you want to do into most of the scandals do not amount to, witch hunting?
Good. So that's a loaded question. First of all, I submit that the verdict in this election, the way the Ghanaian people voted, it should serve as an abiding, enduring lesson to the entire political class. When the Ghanaian people give you power and you mess up, you disrespect them, you are arrogant, you destroy their lives, you destroy their country, you engage in state capture, you engage in corruption, they will punish you severely. So that is going to serve as a lesson to us, and that has to be emphasized. So expect a modest government, expect a government that will eschew corruption, eschew state capture, will avoid these scandals. And President Mahama, you've seen him in power before. I mean, compare how he dealt with Victoria Hammer over just loose talk, dreaming that she wants to make $1 million. Compare his treatment of Victoria Hammer to Akufo-Addo's treatment of Cecilia Dapa, the actual $1 million under her bed, and how he was rather writing love letters and saying, "Oh, I know you'll be vindicated, my dear Cecilia Dapa," and all of that. Eventually, the investigative bodies could not embarrass the president because of that love letter. So here we are, nothing happened. You're not going to see that kind of impunity, that kind of, condoning of corruption. Then let me also emphasize that President Mahama has made bold pledges about rooting the canker of state capture. I am excited that President Mahama has said in his first 120 days, if you read it, one of the key planks, commitments, is that he is going to initiate policies and laws that will prevent politicians and politically exposed persons from buying state assets. That is key. Remember, a lot of the work I have done is about politicians grabbing left, right, center, looting like there's no tomorrow. Look, at a point, we didn't have a democracy. We had a lootocracy, a kakistocracy, a kleptocracy. That's what we had, not a democracy. So I am glad that the work we have done, a number of colleagues and I, putting together a private members bill to ban politicians, prohibit them from buying state assets. President Mahama says he is going to champion it, make a law, have policies that will prevent, so that this situation of cabinet minister taking over SNIT hotels, you have ministers, MPs, you go to AU village cantonments, they just grabbed it at 128,000 cedis. I mean, 128,000, can you believe that? Land that even if you have $1.5 million, you won't get. You know, the political class sits and share them amongst themselves. You see what is happening at the Gifford, the Gifford agri mechanization lands. So
rhetoric, and
no, it's not mere rhetoric. When a president says that he's not going to accept that, you heard Akufo-Addo defending Brachampo over the snake purchase. If organized labor had not joined me and shut down this country, the 16 million profit that SNIT declared a few weeks ago will have gone into the pockets of Brachampo, one man. It wouldn't have come to all of us. So I am glad that state capture is going to end. The president has said, look, the blueprint is get the politicians off state assets. They should not be allowed to purchase, to engage in any transaction relating to public assets. They should stay off. I am also glad that the president is saying that, look, I'm going to implement oral operation, recover all loot. Now, when you are recovering loot, you cannot be engaged in the looting. And the president has said that charity will begin at home. He is going to make sure that he starts with his own appointees. So the president has put in place the right blueprint. He's put in the manifesto the right policies and legal propositions that will ensure that we do not become a plutocracy again, as we saw under the Akufo-Addo Bawumia presidency.
Very well. We are wrapping up, but just in 60 seconds, two quick things. One of the issues going into this election was on the economy, and one of the things that President Mahama is trying to do in the first 120 days is to scrap a number of taxes. Remember, the economy is in tatters. We are under an IMF program. We are having huge debt as a country. If you scrap all these taxes in 120 days, how are we going to plug in the revenue leakages? And what do you also see as the greatest threat to NDC as a government in waiting? Just in 60 seconds.
Read my lips. These taxes are going to go. And we thank the Ghanaian people for giving us a super majority, more than 2/3.
Isn't it overly ambitious?
So we have no excuse. E-levy will go, betting tax will go, COVID levy will go, the emissions tax will go, the COVID levy will go. So I am glad that all of these taxes are going to go. We are determined to cut expenditure. President Mahama says he's going to appoint the leanest government. Within 14 days after his swearing in, he will announce the leanest government ever. No more than 60 ministers. He is going to also rationalize and realign the entire government machinery. There's too much duplicity, wastage. Read the Auditor General's report. So the monies we will lose from these obnoxious taxes, which by the way is leading to the excruciating hardship, suffocating the Ghanaian people, we are going to make amends by the savings that we will be able to make from all of these lean government machinery we are going to put together. Then don't forget that President Mahama has also, if you go through his economic policies, put out very bold interventions like the 24-hour economy, industrialization, that is going to increase productivity. And so you are going to see that revenues will go up. Once revenues go up, the shortfalls from these taxes, and really, we've done the analysis. I mean, you look at e-levy, you look at COVID levy. I mean, you're not making much. You know, they are nuisance taxes. And so I am clear in my mind that these taxes can go, and President Mahamad's economic vision remains the best for our country.
That's Member of Parliament for the people of North Tongu, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. If you have him in the seat, time will never be enough. But thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us tonight on Point Blank on Eyewitness News.
It's a pleasure.
And that's our show for today. My name is Nii Lati. I did this with